Angels and Biscuits, CSDL here, and today's video is going to be my January wrap-up. So the first book I will talk about is The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley. So this book was a murder mystery whodunit style book. I was really looking forward to reading this one in the winter because it's set like around New Year's and it just seemed very winter appropriate. I don't know. I actually really enjoyed this book. It was a fun time. There was one whodunit that I DNF'd because the pacing was too slow. This one actually has pretty decent pacing, and one thing that I liked that this book did was they didn't tell us who gets murdered. Like, they didn't tell us the murder victim until towards the end of the book when everything else is being revealed. So what this book did to balance that is it jumped back and forth between the present when the murder happened and like a couple days leading up to the murder. The book itself is about this group of friends that takes this trip to this Scottish like cabin in the woods sort of thing. They have this tradition of spending New Year's together. One of them's killer, one of them is the victim. And so when we have the previous days, the days leading up to the murder, we see perspectives of all the friends. And then on the present, in the present, the perspectives are only of the gameskeeper and the like manager lady. So people that work at this lodge, which is an interesting way to keep us updated with what's going on and also keep everything a mystery, like the victim. Keep the victim's identity a mystery, so you have to keep guessing throughout most of the book. I think the author did a pretty wonderful job here with this whodunit, and I would totally recommend if you are in the mood for a whodunit or if you just want a whodunit to check out. I would totally recommend checking out The Hunting Party. It was a fun time. So the other two books that I read were The Last Wish and The Sword of Destiny by Andrzej Sapkowski. Is that how you say his name? I'm not sure. I'm sorry if that's wrong. But Witcher books. I have started the Witcher books. These two are two of the three short story compilations. These take place prior to Blood of Elves, so these two books are before the main Witcher series happens. At least that's my understanding of them. And these are basically a bunch of short stories with Geralt. We follow him around as he does Witcher things, gets himself into some destiny messes, right? I think it's The Last Wish, I think, where he gets his child surprise, and the rest is just like kind of set up to where they are in Blood of Elves. And it's really interesting going from the show to the books. Like, Geralt as a character in the books is quite a bit different, I think. Well, in the sense that they give him a lot more of a voice in the books. Like, he talks a lot. He philosophizes with Jaskier. He actually has a lot of conversations with people. He's a lot more friendly with people. He's still kind of a grump, but like, he has a lot of acquaintances that he will actually engage in conversation with, and it's not just grunts and hmms and obscenities. He actually does not swear that much in the books. None of them really do. I think that is a show adaptation choice. I don't hate that choice, but anyway. I have started The Witcher. If that was not clear that I am like totally obsessed, I have a Witcher Kaer Morhen shirt. I have the Witcher medallion. I even bought the Witcher 3 video game, so I have dived hard into Witcher. So it is no surprise that I am diving right into the books. And it was recommended that you start with these 2 short stories before jumping into the main series. So that is what I did. If you want to get to know Geralt and Jaskier as characters, I would definitely recommend starting here rather than starting with the Blood of Elves. These give you a lot more just one-on-one time, I guess, particularly with Geralt. You get to know him as a character, where in Blood of Elves, it jumps between Geralt and Yennefer and Ciri. So, you will come in with a good character understanding, and you get a little bit of Yennefer understanding too before you read Blood of Elves. So it's a good thing, I think, to read these 2 short story compilations first. It gives you a good introduction. My only complaint with these books, because they are good, I went in thinking they would read a little bit more like Game of Thrones, you know, like big adult fantasy. But for me, they read somewhere between like YA and adult fantasy, so it's actually not a very hard read. They go by pretty quickly. I breezed through these 2 and Blood of Elves, which I finished in February this month, that I am filming this video. So, you know, they read pretty quickly. And as far as content goes, like, it feels somewhere between YA and adult fantasy. Like, I think the only complaint I would have with the writing or with anything to do with the story is I think Sapkowski plays a little loose with his fantasy. Like, it's not as strict as some fantasy worlds might be, but that does not bother me because the characters are really well done, and, you know, I am a character-based reader, so if your characters are well done, I can ignore some of your world building or plot issues, particularly world building, because this is more of a world building issue that he's playing a little loose with. But the only other thing that I have to complain about, my biggest complaint, is why did they translate Jaskier's name to Dandelion? Because I don't like it. I don't want to call him Dandelion. The only thing I can think of is maybe it's because he's a bard and he chose that nickname for himself, and that is the only reason I can think of why you would change a name in translation. Because for me, it kind of feels like if you would take, like, for example, if you took an anime name, say like Yuki from Fruits Basket, that would be Snow. We'd be calling him Snow. Or Inuyasha from Inuyasha. He'd be Dog Demon. Like, there's just, like, with names, I don't always think you have to translate them when you do things like that. I spent a lot of my college time in other languages and translating and things, so this was a choice that I was like, did we need to make that choice? Like, it was your choice, you made it, it is what it is. I can't undo it. I mean, I can undo it with whiteout and a pen, but it bothers me because I don't want to call him Dandelion. I like Jaskier. I like Jaskier so much better than Dandelion. I know it means buttercup, but they chose Dandelion because it sounds better in English, I guess. Which, fine, I kind of, yeah, I'll let that one slide. It does sound a little better than buttercup, but they're still, it's just, why couldn't we have kept Jaskier? Like, that's one thing I really, really loved with the show, that they kept Jaskier. They did not make his name Dandelion, because the video games, he's also Dandelion. He's Dandelion in the books, he's Dandelion in the video games, but in the show, they went back to Jaskier, and I really appreciated that after reading these books. But as a character, Jaskier is great. Like, he's very funny. Like, in the books, he's smart. He's actually very smart and intelligent and fun, but he also brings a lot of the humor into the books. because he's getting himself into all sorts of shenanigans, and quite a few times Geralt's there to have to bail him out. Or his dialogue is funny, and him and Geralt together are hilarious, occasionally serious, but like their friendship is great, and that's one of my favorite things about these books. It's just, if only his name was not Dandelion. But if that is my biggest complaint about these books, that's probably a good thing. Like, I overall enjoyed the story. I like his writing style. It reads very quickly. The story's pretty engaging, especially if you start with these two. It just drags you into the world with Geralt, and then it kind of sets you up for the main Witcher series. So if you've seen the show and you really like the show and you haven't checked out the books yet, or if you've played the games but haven't read the books yet, I would highly recommend doing so, and I would definitely start with The Last Wish and then Sword of Destiny, and then move on to the main Witcher series. Also, for show fans, if you want to check out how similar the books and show are, if you want to see where they've gotten a lot of their inspiration, these books, particularly this one, Last Wish, they took a lot from Last Wish. I'm pretty sure they've also taken from Sword of Destiny, and they've taken some from Blood of Elves. Both seasons 1 and 2. Like, for example, the thing in season 1 where Geralt gets his child surprise with Queen Calanthe in what is Pavetta? Calanthe's daughter and the Hedgehog Man. That story is in this book, and so is season 2, episode 1, with Nivellen and the strange Beauty and the Beast-like story going on there. That comes from this book. And what I've noticed is the show actually hasn't done too bad a job with at least sticking to the stories that happen. Like, they kind of are following the timeline, but I do think the books, the way they were written, don't translate as well when adapting it, so I can understand like the end of season 2, like where they're going. I think I kind of understand why they're making the choices that they are after reading a couple books and the way the story is written. But overall, they've kept a lot of the stories. They do make their own, spins to it. They add their own adaptation flair, as most adaptations do. But you can definitely see where the inspiration comes from. And overall, for an adaptation, not that bad. Quick editing note on something that I forgot to put in the actual video is that a lot of the stories in these books are like fairy tales you would know and recognize, but Sapkowski made them his own. Like, he put his own little spin on them, and I think it's very neat and cool that you'll see recognizable like fairy tale stories in these books, but a little different, a little more witchery, and it's fun and it's great. And yeah, I just thought I would throw that in there because I forgot to put that in the actual video. But yeah, so I think these are definitely worth a read if you are into the Witcher fandom. If you've watched the show or played the games, or if you started the main series and maybe aren't getting into it like you thought you would, maybe pause, come read Last Wish and Sword of Destiny, and then go back to the main series. Maybe it will bring you into the story a little bit better. I think these are definitely worth reading before the main series. And that is all I had for you guys today. As always, I would appreciate it if you left a like, a comment, or subscribed. And if you just want to talk Witcher in the comments, I am more than happy to do that as well, whether it's the show, the books, or the games. I will chat Witcher all day. But that is all for now, and I will see you guys next time.